Hi. Welcome back. So, I guess in this part of my life, in this chapter, I guess that my brother came back and he lived with me and had like another roommate around. Still, this time was Travis, and I think I think at this time I stopped doing like the drugs and I started just sticking to drinking. So I eventually would I kind of cope with just going for walks and exploring new places I never really did. Uh, I try to meet new people, I guess, and either it would be platonic or just sexual or whatever. That's where I came across. Well, it was one of the nights where I was kind of drinking and I had a random call, and this girl named Rain was uh, on my like FaceTime. And I guess we were talking, and she was slurring a bit. She was having a good time with herself, and uh, I was just didn't know what to say. I was a loss for words. I was just reciprocating back, a little bit of banter here and there, and then I started talking to her out after she got sober because I said by the end of that discussion, I was like, you know, call me when you're sober. Maybe we can hang out or whatever, get to know each other. Uh, then I was trying to get like a sexual encounter at one point. I I think I was on Facebook. I remember I was sitting on break at my job at Greco, and I was like flirting with a few people here and there in the comment section and stuff. And one girl was like inbox me and she was like want to do some freaky shit. So I was like, sure. But I was in like a decent mood and I wanted to like take her out for a dinner or a date or something before we did anything because I kind of wanted to go out a little bit. And she's like, no need. She just wants to get to the freaky shit. So I was like, ah, sure, fine, whatever. And so I met up with her at the local school because it was like a common public place, campus stuff. So it's like it was good on our both behalf. So nothing freaky or sinister would happen because it was a public place and cameras and stuff. So I met her. Her name was Shyla, and I thought she was kind of cute. And uh, we walked back and we kind of just talked. And then when we got to my bedroom and into my bed, we kind of just laid there and we kind of just I think vented and talked about some of our deeper stuff. And then in this counter from trying to being sexual turned into more like eye open in a sense. We both ranted and talked about our personal issues, and I think it could have been some kind of sign that there's things that I had to say that she needed to hear, and there's probably vice versa. And she was kind of religious, and she believed in like God and Jesus Christ and stuff. So I instead of us just fucking around, we pretty much talked. I think for like 2 hours on some deep shit. I told her she was really pretty, but not just like physical, but like she was mentally pretty, I guess. So I walked her back to her place. I offered my sweater because it was kind of chilly, and I remember a cop tried to pull us over, saying like it was odd to be out in this hour, and I was like, I'm dropping her off and going home because cops around here sometimes they like to put you in a box because of what you look like and whatnot. So I brought her home and I walked back and I started drinking and I started thinking a bit more about what she was saying. and I never really been a believer in God and Christ Himself and all that biblical stuff. But it made me think though, and what she was saying, and so I ended up just dabbling into to the Bible and started reading parts of it again, and I started, I guess, building up my spiritual connection. And so at the same time, I was thinking that maybe I needed a shift in myself and life. Maybe I should move outside of Hamilton. Maybe head to Moncton or Fredericton or something. And so I was cooking up a plan. So I ended up talking to my mother about moving down there and how I was going to get myself set up, and thinking what I was going to do or what I want to do, and maybe look for a job down there. And then if I get the okay, I start moving down there. And so I guess it was beginning of my spiritual journey at this point. So I stopped doing drugs completely around here. And I went to work. I still drank, but I didn't feel as lost because I kind of had a purpose at this point. I was still contacting like Rain, Shyla, and there was this girl named, I think, Miku. She had some relationship stuff, and she would sometimes just rant to me about it, and I would try to give the best advice I could. And I know I started having this kind of following happen, and of people that were seeking me for advice, but I was just as broken, and the only advice I can give is to be patient, I guess. I know eventually Shyla called me like her angel in a sense, and I was like, I kind of felt good about having such a title. And a lot of people started coming towards me, so I don't know if it was just some kind of odd sign or connection with God at this time. I I started doing I started finish up a lot of my old drawings, and I got into a bit more painting this time. I wanted to start painting a lot more pictures. My brother at this time was also doing okay with his surgery. He finally came home, and he healed up decently, but he ended up being sketchy himself because of his paranoia of what happened, being stabbed and all. But he started hanging out with a lot more people, and he started ignoring me a lot. And I felt like my purpose for being around to help him kind of depleted itself. So I kind of felt lost, and I was trying to find a purpose again. And so I remember I went on to this walk on the shoreline, and I thought to myself that I can't change the past of what happened to me when I was younger, and I can't change the things I've done to other people because of my actions. I said the only thing I can do now is literally just try to be the best version of myself now and try to help other people that been in a similar situation than me. And then I started feeling better about myself, my appearance. At this point, I lost a lot of weight. I ended up being like almost like 180. I used to be like 200 pounds, and then I went down to like 180, 170, and I was getting pretty skinny. I eventually, uh, I think I started to, yeah, I was saying going on the shoreline and starting to just think about what I should do with myself and looking for signs. And it was deep thought. I ended up picking up meditation and started meditating way more often. And I would listen to a lot of music. I would just meditate and just think and trying to find a lot of the root. And I know it's because I was so broken and I had nothing to hold myself together. It's like not having a purpose made me feel useless. So like, well, I guess I should try to find a purpose in my life and do something with myself. And I was like, I'll go to Moncton, maybe start tattooing business and trying to take off my tattoo career. And I think that was like my goal. And I was telling people I was gonna move down there to Moncton, and I'm trying to get ready and figure my stuff out. And I know my mother and I eventually had like this another falling out because it was hard to keep a relationship with her because we had two different thoughts, constantly butting heads all the time. Eventually, I know my brother, when he was going out, it was the fact that he was seeing other women and he was kind of cheating on his girlfriend. And eventually, she came over to like rant and talk about how she felt and was looking for him and stuff. And I showed her the text messages that he sent me, and I showed her, it's like, well, that's your answers right here. And so I was telling her, I was like, are you breaking up with her because you're with these other girls and stuff? And he's like, yeah, I'm done with her and stuff. I don't need her anymore and shit like that. So I didn't even tell her. I just showed her, I flipped my phone over and I showed her. I didn't have to say anything. And so she was pretty upset about it. And so I gave her my alcohol and I was like, here. I said, if you're going to be upset, you might as well be drunk and upset. And I just put on some YouTube on my projector. I mean, we're just sitting there drinking and just talking. And then eventually it escalated us just fucking with each other. And we just had sex. And I think she spent the night, but she left in the morning. And then my brother came back like I think 3 days later. But she came back and chilled, and then he came back in and saw that she was in my room, and we were just talking and stuff. And I don't know if he thought of anything of it and stuff, but then eventually he just left again. And this time it was kind of like gone for like a week. And eventually he just ended up moving out. So her and I were just, I don't know, friends with benefits, I guess. And a relationship ended up developing over time. I started going over her place because uh, I wanted to kind of see her home and what she was all about. And eventually, I think we were talking about maybe being a little more serious. But this time I was not sober yet. So I wanted to sober myself up and quit everything before because she had a kid already. And I said, I can't be this character or this person in front of a child, you know? Like, when I was younger, I needed a parent myself. And my foster parents were fucking dog shit. And my biological dad was dog shit. And my mom was dog shit. Like, I had a really shitty upbringing. I didn't want to pass this on to a kid, an innocent kid. So I ended up cutting everything off. And I was like, everything at this time was a bit mixed up because like my memories and stuff were a little bit fractured, I guess. Eventually, it took me maybe a while, and I cut everything off. When I was having these withdrawals of just shaking all the time, my anxiety, and I wanted to kill myself because I'm now reliving the pain, and it was so much. But she stuck by my side. She stuck by my side until I got through it. I think it took about like almost a week. And eventually, when I was sober, I kind of wanted to start something with her more serious because she's been with me when she didn't have to be, through me, my sobriety, and dealing with my issues and with my shit. And So I think we eventually just kind of, without even saying it, made it official. So I started going over her place more often and start seeing the kid. Eventually, I started putting him to bed. I started to be some kind of parent figure for him. And this was my next step of evolving myself to be this new character. Like, I was never been a parent before. And I feel like I was going to be terrible at it because of my experience I had under my belt was very low. And I didn't know how to be a dad. I was never taught, and I didn't have the best examples growing up. So everything I'm doing is literally just on a whim and common sense, and her guiding me to like feeding and changing and stuff like that. Because the kid was only 2 years old when I got involved in his life. So eventually, we were kind of like a family unit. And I know I was out of the blue one day. I showed up and stuff, and he like I think he called me dad, and I was like, you know, another title under my belt, and I felt good. Being called dad by a kid that you're raising that's not yours, and not being coached or anything. It just he said it out of the blue one day, and that I had to try even harder to be the better version of myself. I was thinking about maybe getting a new job and trying to fix like hours and stuff like that, but it's hard finding a job when you're not bilingual, and like I have tattoos and piercings all over me, and it's not the most presentable thing. Uh, so eventually I was noticing that this time that my money was being missing at home, and then eventually I got notifications on my phone that my cards were being used without my authorization. So I got really fucking pissed because I'm like, I helped my mom pay off $1,700 of her bills, and I got it about down to half, and it was starting to climb back up without me using it. So I was like, well, what the fuck? But it's my cards and shit like that. And so I went back home, and I was my roommate using my cards, my bank cards, to buy his random shit. And it really pissed me off. So I grabbed the baseball bat and I looked at him, and I fought the urge to fucking kill this guy. Because, like, I was still not transitioned to be the person that I am now. Back then, I was still vicious. I was still pretty savage. And so I was gripping that baseball bat, looking at him, and then he woke up and he was freaked out because I had, like, I was about to, like, it was almost like in like a mid swing, like, I swear to God. And he's like freaking out, and he's like, well, panic on his face. And then I snapped through, and I was like, you have to go. You have to get the fuck out. Find a new place. You're stealing money from me and shit like that. Things have been missing from my place. Dishes are being broken. There's holes in my fucking apartment. And it's like, this is all because of him and his group of friends. I said he has to get the fuck out. So I kicked him out. And then I'm patching up all the holes in the walls. I'm painting over them. I'm trying to like fix everything. And I figure, you know what? I'm going to clean my fucking apartment for once. So I did a whole big ass cleanup. Eventually, when you watch some of my Weeper's World videos of my apartment tour, that's when I was finally done, and I wanted to show off my place how I imagined it would be without it being messy, because it was every day. It was ashes on the floor, on the fucking table, on the couch. There was like drinks and dirty cups and dishes all over the place. And like at this time, I wasn't doing none of that shit. I go to work, I shower, go to bed, get up, go to the shower, go to work. Like I would barely be in my living room or kitchen or anything like that. And it was like a rude awakening for me to be like, I need to get my orders here, get my shit in check. So I kicked him out, cleaned up my place, patched up everything, and you know, my place was really nice and presentable. I put up all the neon lights and everything was clean. It smelt fresh instead of cigarettes. So eventually I went back and I told her the news, and then my roommate and I, because I thought of him like a brother, we were close. He was with me through a lot of dark shit, as I was with him. I think I could have been better, but I was like I said, broken as well, trying to help other people, and it was like, it's like trying to give advice, but you're not taking your own advice. So eventually, it was a close. Like I ended up just fucking off with all my friends. I told everyone to leave me alone, and I had some shit to work on. I needed my alone time. I needed me. I needed to stop worrying about other people. So even the friends that didn't wrong me, I had to tell them like basically like to fuck off for now. Like I need to figure my shit out, or where I need to go with my life and my next steps. Like I'm transitioned from a young adult to a young parent. I have my own place. I have my full job. Maybe I'm supposed to evolve this relationship or something. So eventually, when I went back to my girlfriend's place, um, was on and off of going there and back, of sleeping at my place or sleeping at her place, and work schedule and stuff like that, or the weekends. It was always like time management at this point. And everything was going good. I started to try to peek out more, start talking to friends, and try to get my social life back on track and order. I came in contact with one of my friends, Kevin, and he was really nice to me. The only problems I had with him was before he was like in love with my ex girlfriend, and him and her used to talk shit behind my back. But other than that, he wasn't a bad guy. I think he made just as much bad choices that I did. We just didn't have the guidance or know the people. So I feel like I was on the same boat with him, that we just didn't know who we were hanging out with, and weren't in the same state of mind to be with these people, and we were trying to figure our own shit out. That's how I related to him a bit. And then we were talking and stuff, and we went out to a dinner date, and we both ate some burgers. We had some laughs. We made a lot of jokes. But eventually, I found out that my ex moved in with him, and he didn't tell me, and I was kind of annoyed. No, that's the wrong order. I Before I made it official with my new girlfriend, with before I transitioned to the parent, my ex tried to come back in my life and try to fix things up first. But I told my current girlfriend, because we were still dating, I said I wanted to try with my ex to see if there's still something, because I don't want to move on in my life without seeing my last chapter before I close it. So with her and I, we she messaged me saying I want to come back, I want to try and make things work and stuff, and I said sure. And I'll just sum it up because I'm a little ahead. So I told her that she stayed at my place for 2 nights. We kissed, we hugged, we talked, and we tried to rekindle ourselves. But it was nothing there for me for her. I felt like I moved on to this new character, and this new character didn't love this girl anymore. Just like my old heart did, but my new mind didn't. Then I told her I can't be with you anymore because I'm not in love with you anymore. I'm in love with someone else. Then I transitioned to dating Bianca full time and moving her back into my place. And then we went to the Kevin dinner, and the dinner was her. He didn't tell me that my ex was living with him, even though I told him that she tried to come back. I said no, and so I knew about their fucking relationship behind my back and stuff. And so I kind of got bitter with Kevin because I was like, I don't understand. I told you all the things that this girl did to me, that she lied, and she said I abused her, and I SA'd her and did all this crazy shit, and you're still gonna take her, and I'm your friend. And it's like, I was like mind blown, like how friends can be like so nice to your face, but do all this shit behind your back. So I said eventually, you know what, keep her then. Fuck, go ahead, keep her as your fucking roommate, girlfriend, whatever. I don't care anymore. But it's like karma will come back around. I swear to God. So for then on, then my relationship with my friend Kevin became this bitterness that I have with him because it's like I don't understand this person you're trying to be. So eventually, my girlfriend and her kid moves in with me, and we become a family unit. Uh, she stays home, cooks and cleans, and keeps the place clean. After I cleaned it up, she kept it up clean, and I decided to just work and make sure that I make some cash and stuff. And I know eventually she wanted to work too, but so we made the schedule where I got her the job where I'm working, that I'll do mornings and she'll do nights. So that way, the item only need to be watched for like 2 hours or babysitting. So we would switch our shifts and stuff to make sure. But it worked for a little bit, so we were making quite a bit of money. So we bought a lot of stuff and we kind of splurged a bit. We treated item, we treated myself, treated her. We were just having a good fucking time because we made so much money. But eventually, we needed we need one of us to stay at home at all times with Aiden, and I think she decided like she would be better for it. But it was also, we were just talking about it, but we said we'll try to keep pushing through it. And so we both, at this point of our life, we are both working. We're making quite a bit, and we were like pretty much a generic, the nuke family, and with her wanting to try part time, and we were doing okay for this chapter anyway. Um, I told my current girlfriend everything about my ex, that I was didn't cheat. I told her all the details and stuff. I wanted to start this chapter with her on a clean slate. And my ex at the time, she found a new boyfriend anyway, and she was working at McDonald's with her boyfriend working at McDonald's as well. So I had my life going, she had her life going, and we were pretty quiet and minding our own business, and we were trying to focus on ourselves. So I guess that'll be end for this chapter, because the next chapter will be a whole lot of drama that comes from here. And so thanks for watching. You can like or subscribe or don't. It doesn't really matter. But I said, like, I get confused a little bit of the timeline, just like I did earlier, because it's just a lot that happened. But I hope that you're still patient and to try to figure it out as we watch this whole thing. So, until next week for the more explosive drama part of this story.